with their human rights violation, they decided to run to the court to seek protection. And so what they did was that they ran to court in seeking, saying that there is a violation of their fundamental human rights and freedoms, which is guaranteed under the 1992 Constitution. And they went under Article 12.1, 23, 21.1b and c. Now, let's look at something. 12.1 gives protection for every Ghanaian if you feel your fundamental human rights have been violated and freedoms have been violated. Then 23 also puts a responsibility on all government, the judiciary, legislature, government institutions, any administrative body to be answerable to any allegation that they have violated the freedoms of people. Then the 21.1, it's about the issues of belief in religion, faith, and then which is also tied to education. Then 21c is about freedom to practice religion and also to ensure that it is manifestly practiced. So they went under this. Then in the court, lawyers would always argue that once you go to court, the business is about evidence. Look at what the judge said. The judge said in her ruling that the probability of the evidence that were adduced before the court, she doesn't think that the school and its proponents, which include the Ghana Education Service and then the Attorney General's Department, have made a compelling argument as to why those two students should not be admitted, especially given their right to education as well as their right to express their religious freedoms. And so what this clearly means is that both parties were able to adduce evidence. And in adducing the evidence, the lawyer for the two students clearly showed that carrying that Rastafarian hair, it's part of the religious practice that cannot be compromised. And if any of them are denied education because of their freedom, which is guaranteed under Chapter 5 of the 1992 Constitution, then to that extent, the actions of the school becomes inconsistent and in contravention of the 1992 Constitution. And that is why the judge ruled that they should be admitted. And so that does not open the door for anybody at all to, if you like, for instance, carry jelly hair or any hair at all to the school. Because you must show that you have a fundamental human right which is tied to a religion or any of the rights guaranteed under the Constitution is violated. And so this is a good judgment. We must commend Justice Gifty A.J. Addo of the High Court that what he has done, this judgment is a landmark judgment and it is good.
All right, so thank you. So that is lawyer Atukwe. I've also been joined on Zoom by educationist who is also executive director of Africa Education Watch, Kofi Asari, for his take on this as well. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to your audience. Let me indicate that I am not an educationist. I am an education policy practitioner, and I want to welcome the decision by the courts to allow the boys to go to school. The ruling is a victory for the right to education. It affirms Article 28.4, which makes it clear that no one should be discriminated against, on grounds of any socio-economic reasons, i.e. geography or gender or disability or race or religion or culture in their access to health or education. And this is consistent with all international protocols. If you study the history of rulings regarding Rastafari rights to basic and secondary education, especially the most recent one in Malawi, the judge mentioned clearly that in the previous rulings in South Africa, in Zimbabwe, and Kenya, the right to education shall not be subject to any form of discrimination because educational rights are fundamental rights. That is why we believe that this particular ruling is a victory for the right to education. Let me indicate that we shouldn't have gotten to this point. There was no need going to courts. This should have been an issue that the institution called Ghana Education Service, if it was up and doing, should have been able to resolve easily. You cannot imagine that schools operating under the service could simply rubbish instructions given to them by their regulator or by their mother body. It doesn't happen in any country where an institution is up to the task of actually coordinating and delivering secondary education. Unfortunately, it took a court to intervene and actually give some guidelines in its ruling in respect of GES's power, to actually enforce discipline and ensure that the governance of the schools are consistent with the Constitution. Even though all these powers are already enshrined in the GES Act 506. And so, be that as it may, we can only be grateful to Lordship that he's given this ruling, and we hope that the school complies accordingly, receives the students in good faith, and demonstrate to the whole world that Achimota really stands for inclusion.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for your contribution here on NEWSBEAT. And so I have been speaking to Executive Director of Africa Education Watch, Kofi Owusu Asare. Away from that, there is an impasse between medical lab scientists and the Ghana Medical Association over the appointment of 2 doctors to leadership positions at the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital. The lab scientists at CAD have been on strike for close to a month, drawing similar actions nationwide from their colleagues. We will speak to the lab scientists following the Health Regulatory Agency HEFRA statement that basic laboratories in the country are to be headed by a licensed medical laboratory teaching technician. But we will start from the Volta region, where patients, including pregnant women, are being turned away at the labs due to the strike. And so joining us on phone line is a person who wants to remain anonymous. She is currently at the hospital. Hello and good afternoon.
Hello.
So tell us the current situation at the hospital.
The current situation at the whole regional hospital is a little alarming because patients are being turned away by doctors that they cannot operate them because the lab is not open and they cannot assure them of safety without blood transfusion when the need arrives. So they have no choice than to turn away such patients who are in dire need of surgery to survive because of the striking situation by the lab technicians and the blood banks. According to the doctor I spoke to, who also wants to remain anonymous, he said initially the agreement was they will be serving emergency cases, but today they have decided to totally shut down. So they have no choice than to also send the patients away for further notice.
Right. Where are they going to? They've been turned away from the hospital. But
that is the question as to where they will be going to. That is the question now. In fact, the fact that they book you for surgery is trauma. And then only for you to prepare yourself, fight yourself psychologically and come, for you to be pinned down again to go. And your ailment is there. You are in pain. So you can imagine. And that is the seriousness of the situation that government needs to quickly come to the table with these technicians and the blood bank technicians. They should just resolve this quickly for the sake of the lives of the citizens.
All right, thank you for that update from Ho. We still stay with the issue of lab scientists who are facing problems as to who should lead their sector. Now, the Health Regulatory Agency, HEFRA, says basic laboratories in the country are to be headed by a licensed medical laboratory technician. This person must be in good standing with the Allied Professional Health Council. Primary, secondary, and tertiary labs are to be headed by either a lab medicine specialist or a licensed biomedical scientist. Here are details of the statement issued by HEFRA. And so there you have it. And so this is coming in from HEFRA, and it says, I wish to inform you that the Health Facilities Regulatory Agency, HEFRA, has taken a keen interest in the complaint regarding the unilateral position of some of the laboratory scientists and workers at the healthcare institutions across the nation, and more recently at the Komfo Anoche Teaching Hospital medical laboratories. I understand from the complaint that the leadership of the medical laboratories has refused the appointment of 2 medical laboratory specialists to work in the laboratories at the hospital. I wish to reinforce that the Health Facilities Regulatory Agency, by Act 829, is the appropriate agency to determine healthcare institutions' human resource requirement and leadership, including laboratories. HEFRA has determined the basic laboratories to be headed by a licensed medical laboratory technician in good standing with the Allied Health Professional Council. Primary, secondary, and tertiary laboratories are headed by either a laboratory medicine specialist or a licensed biomedical scientist. It is the leadership of the healthcare facility to appoint who should be the supervisor of the laboratory or any other unit. This is signed by Dr. Philip A. Banner, the president of the association. And so we've been joined on Zoom. For more on this is the Public Relations Officer for the Association of Ghana Medical Laboratory. Tell us more, Dennis Edu Jesse. Good afternoon, sir, and welcome to NEWSBEAT. So what do you make of the position of HEFRA? If you can hear me, kindly unmute your sound.
I am unmuted.
Okay, great. I can hear you now. So tell me, what is your position of HEFRA?
All right, thank you very much. So the position by HEFRA is just a matter of what we've been talking about. Medical doctors always using the privileged position of management that they hold to ensure that they get whatever they desire, whatever will protect the profession for which they practice. So we are not surprised at all. I'm not too sure how best you can quickly let me share some few slides, if that is possible, to your viewers.
Kindly go on, sir.
The particular... Sorry.
Kindly go on. We are listening.
Excellent. I wanted to share some slides, but I'm disabled. So if the producers could help me do that, because I'm just trying to put things in context. The particular law, Act 829, for which Part 1 of that law, the Health Institution Facility Agency, the Act that had established the office for which Dr. Bano is now serving as the registrar, was put in place in 2011. As far as we are concerned, that particular law has not been amended. The LI, which they seek to put across, has equally not been amended. It's not even been accepted, let alone to say that there is an amendment. And if you go into that particular law, the practice is that we are asking who qualifies to be a practitioner in medical laboratory science. And it is clear that, let me just read to your hearing, the personnel should be a qualified medical laboratory